And they said it couldn't be done. Dr. Danger, the experiments are complete. We have here the first test tube, baby!
The voice came from nowhere. The sound was stronger than war. The people believed in masses as the vault of lights began its roar. Beams of lights were standing up to the sky like tunnels headed for heaven as the world stood by. One of the first things I remember as a small child was living in Nuremberg, Germany. Pastoriusstrasse was a United States military housing complex for servicemen and their families during the 60s. The village was one block from Zeppelin Field, better known as Hitler Stadium. It has a parade ground and a coliseum. One day, two friends and I went to play on the small hill next to the village. 3 machine gun bunkers were placed along the front gate of the complex, facing the stadium, which was 1 block away. A security fence surrounded the bunker complex to keep people out. Some of the older kids in the village dug a hole at the bottom of the fence to have access to the bunkers. One by one, we would crawl under the fence and head up to the top of the hill. I started horsing around and kicking the side of the bunkers, and one of the blocks moved. The 3 of us started to push the block. It fell into the bunker. Corey had a military flashlight, points it into the bunker. I look in and see rusted machine guns, helmets, empty machine gun shells lying on the ground floor of the bunker. We got a big enough hole to go inside. We started to flash the light around the bunker and noticed a doorway leading to the next bunker. One by one, we went down the narrow tunnel, and then I stopped, looked down. A grate was at my feet. We pulled back the grate. It took 3 of us just to open it. We were so little. A ladder was there, heading straight down into a dark tunnel. When we reached the bottom, a large tunnel led us 50 yards straight ahead, and then we found another tunnel going straight towards the stadium. Our flashlight bouncing off the walls, we forged ahead. When we got to the end of the tunnel, we noticed a light filtering through the crack in the wall. I walked toward the light and looked inside. What I saw was a massive circular city, 5 stories high, with walkways going around the city. A large symbol was on the floor. I stepped back in disbelief. What the hell is an underground city doing here, under Hitler Stadium? Corey pushes me aside and looks. He backs away and stares at me, and then Jason looks. What is this? We hear a noise, and then we see a light. Someone shouts in German, "Was ist los?" And then they say in English, "What are you doing down here?" One by one, we hurried up the ladder. When I got to the top, I looked down and see the German officer staring at me. I slammed the grate down. We ran out of the bunker and down the hill to the apartment complex. We hid in an empty storage bin in the basement, scared to death. The next day, I went back to the bunker. It was sealed from inside. Corey, Jason, and I did not find out until years later. What we discovered was a secret laboratory for experiments from the concentration camps around Europe during World War II. The city was built with slave labor from the concentration camps. Those who did not die building the city were taken back to the concentration camps and exterminated. That way, no one knew the city was even there. Not even the people that lived around the underground city. The city was designed to house the Fourth Reich. Once the genetic engineering research was developed, some of the experiments and personnel captured after the war were moved to the US and other countries. Why did Joseph Mengele die an old man in South America? He was a murderer of millions of people, experimented on tens of thousands to develop the technology for the no-time. In 1979, I got a call from Corey's father. He was murdered in New York City, where he was going to college. When they found his body, a no-tie symbol was carved in his chest. And then last year, I get a call from Jason's daughter. He had been murdered also, with the same no-tie symbol. I know that I'm next. This is why I'm off the digital grid. No cell phones, email, debit card, internet. Nothing which would show a digital footprint. Because now I have found others like me. My parents were killed in a car crash when I was in my 20s. I came to find out that I was the first test tube baby from the local no-tie genetic engineering lab, which is why I lived in Nuremberg, next to the stadium, so that the no-tie could keep an eye on my development. The German scientists, genetic engineers, and eugenics experts were brought to Tennessee to work and keep this experiment alive. You can clone humans, but they must be in a controlled environment to follow the practices of the overall message. They want to reduce the world population for the no-tie to come to power. A massive pandemic will come, and those who are genetically engineered will survive to take world power. Look around the world. Look at the explosion of pharmaceuticals, genetic engineering, cloning, and eugenics. Food supplies are genetically engineered. If you want to get your DNA tested, you can. Want a baby? What race? Color? I'm trying to find myself. Does God know me? God is Alpha and Omega. Since I was created in a test tube, do I have a soul? 2 friends of mine died just because we came upon the underground city in Nuremberg. The world must know the truth. We look just like you, but we are test tube babies.